This is an upper body deload day that is designed for your premenstrual and bleed phases. This is a very important transition time during the cycle where our hormones sharply decline and we're transitioning from a high hormone state to a low hormone state. In addition, the body is preparing for and then executing menstruation, which is a very energetically demanding process. So these last few days of each cycle and the first few days of your period are a great time for deload workouts. Deload means we are dropping the weight by up to 50% from what we might have been using in the first half of the cycle. So it's very lightweight. It's really an opportunity to perfect your form, to master the mechanics of some of these movement patterns, and to connect more deeply to your mind-muscle connection. So just experimenting with how you're loading, how you're engaging the body, and dropping into more of a state of awareness and presence. That's excellent work for this time in the cycle where the very swift change in hormones can bring about things like anxiety or low mood. So this is a good opportunity to drop into that moving meditation space. Nothing very intense. You should feel like you have lots left in the tank by the end of a deload workout. So for today, you're in the upper body. So these are very light weights to begin with for the most part. And on your deload day, you could go even body weight only. So you might drop the weights altogether. I love using wrist weights for this type of work on a deload day. I have a set of 10-pound dumbbells, for the back and chest work, and then a set of 5-pound dumbbells for more of the isolation work. I also have my set of 3-pound dumbbells in reserve because we really want to stay in that lower intensity threshold. So if you start to feel yourself getting breathless or you start to feel like you're having to dig deep to kind of get one more quality rep, then it's time to dial back. Especially this is one of the most important phases of the cycle for this cyclical fitness approach because it gives you the most reward for your efforts. So the dialing back here, the toning it down, this is where it really pays off. You'll also need in this workout an elevated surface. We're using this for tricep dips and some of our dumbbell pullovers. So this can be something on the shorter side. You want it to be cushioned so that you can rest your shoulders comfortably, and you want to be able to move on either side of it. So a chair that doesn't have a back or a stool that doesn't have a back is great. Or if you have a chair where it has a long enough seat that you can rest your shoulders and move your arms on either side of that chair. So grab your elevated surface. You can always do these movements on the ground. I'll demonstrate those in the movement tutorial. Get your weights ready to go, and let's get started. This is a quick dynamic upper body warm-up to get you ready for strength training. We'll have 10 different movements that we will enjoy for 30 seconds each, starting with the inchworm. We've got just about 10 seconds to set up here, so you can start at the back of your mat, shake it out, give a little wiggle, and we'll begin now. So we'll walk the hands down, walk all the way out to plank, find your strongest plank, and then inch all the way back up to standing. Start to connect to the rhythm of your breath, in and out through the nose where possible, and then maybe exhaling through the mouth to release heat, to create that nice core integration. So just warming the arms, the shoulders, the core to get you ready to move that weight. We're coming into now downward dog next. So find your downward dog position. And here we're shifting from that plank position and then tapping opposite ankle or opposite leg. So wherever your hand reaches, tap it back and across. So working through these dynamic exercises to warm the joints, to prepare the muscles, and just wake up the body so that you're ready to move when it's time to pick up the weights. We'll be here just a few more seconds, and then we're coming into our cat and cow. So we'll let the knees come down, stretch the spine, shine the sitting bones back. Inhale. From the tailbone round under, exhale, curl the body into chest, press through your hands. Inhale, articulate bone by bone, feel the spine lengthen. And then as you exhale, round in, create space between your body and the mat. Inhale, re-extend, stretch the heart forward, sitting bones back. Last one, exhale, round, curl it in. Nice work. Coming up to a kneeling position next, side bending. So we take the left arm down to the side or to your hip, reach your right arm up and over. Lift up and out of the hip creases so you're lengthening both sides of the waist evenly. You can even press your head into your top arm to open that top shoulder. Come up through center, exchange. So right hand down, left arm up and over. So here again, you can press the head into the hand if you wish. And then we're coming out into a half kneeling position. Take the left foot forward, reach your arms out in front, and we're going to circle that left arm back into a twist and forward. So we're keeping the hips and legs nice and square, and we're rotating in the upper body. Let your shoulders stay directly over the hips, so not leaning forward or back with the torso, just finding that nice rotation in the shoulder with a twist in the torso. We're here for just a few more seconds. Nice. And then we're coming back to our kneeling position. Offer the palms forward in these sort of robot arms, but with the palms turning up. Turn the arms out, reach them up and around and back down to center. So we rotate. We're working on that full range of motion in those beautiful shoulders. Such an awesome joint that supports movement through all planes, all directions. Reach it up and back down. Last big breath here, and then we'll switch to the other side for our kneeling position. Right knee forward, left knee back, arms out in front. We'll circle that right arm now open to the twist and back to center. We open it up, twist, and back. So find full range of motion, really working through any sticky points that you feel, trying not to shrug the shoulders, but keep them nice and relaxed away from the ears so that you're using mobility to get that arm up and over. Connecting to your breath once again. And let's come back to our kneeling position. Bring your hands behind you onto the sacrum, either hands down or hands up. We're going to lift up into just a very gentle back bend, focusing on the upper back. So I want you to keep your thighs pressing forward, lift up and out of the hips, stretch the heart skyward. So you're not leaning back so much as up, just opening the front body, feeling this nice big stretch. From here, we'll come to a standing position. Arm circles here, nice and big. Take those arms all the way around. Circle, maybe shrug a little bit to get through any last little bit of kind of sleepiness in the arms. You can reverse the direction here. And then we're closing out our practice to get the heart rate up a little bit to generate some heat with 30 seconds of jumping jacks. So we'll go there in about 5 seconds. Last big arm circle here. And jumping jacks. Let's get it here. So high impact is here. You can also be stepping side to side, but I want you to focus on moving nice and quick. We're aiming to get the blood pumping, improve circulation so that you are warmed up and ready when your workout begins. We're here for just about 10 more seconds. See if you can pick up the pace a little bit. Connecting with your breath in and out through the nose. Last 2 and 1. That should be a little bit of a heart rate hit for you. That is your warm up, and now you are ready to move. Now that your upper body is warmed up, we will get into this deload day workout for the upper body. As I mentioned in the intro, you'll want to have a very light set of weights. I have kind of a collection of weights here just to meet the deload for different muscle groups. I encourage you, if you can, to have at least a light and a very light set of weights so that you are encouraged to step it down when you're hitting that point of struggle or maybe the intensity is creeping up. So if you have your weights available, you're more likely to use them. So make sure you have that stuff ready to go. We will begin in about 20 seconds here. We are starting with the chest press in a glute bridge position. So we're coming into that supine position, getting ready for the glute bridge. So your ankles are directly under the knees. We're lifting the hips, curling hip bones toward low ribs so your low ribs are not flaring. We've got the upper back on the mat. The weights come directly over the chest. We'll get ready to begin now. So we inhale to take it down and then exhale, press it up. What I want you to focus on is feeling that stretch across the chest as you take the elbows wide and then press the back of the heart into the mat to squeeze the chest. So we inhale, create some mobility in the upper back, and then exhale, press. This is a deload day, so we're not working through speed or urgency. We're in effect slowing things down so that you can feel more closely how you're activating the muscles that we're targeting. So here, how can you squeeze those weights at the top to get more activation in the chest? How can you create more space to lower the elbows by lifting the back of the heart to then contract into that space and rest, come down. We have longer rest periods today. So we have 45 seconds of work, which is low intensity work, followed by a full 30 seconds of rest in between. So it's really this nice, easy pace that is sustainable during this kind of more delicate transition phase of the cycle. So we're coming into our elevated glute bridge now, resting shoulders and head on that bench, and we'll begin with our pullover. So we reach that weight overhead, feel the stretch in the lats, and then draw that weight back toward the navel. So here, the entire time you're zipping the low ribs and hip points together, but stretching the upper back. So I want you to feel that mobilization of the shoulder blades, how beautifully they can move to take the arms overhead. We've got a very light weight here. So we're working through kind of a larger range of motion to get more of that stretch. And you can experience the sensation that you're then looking for when you start to add more significant load. We've got the blueprint here in the body, and then it allows you to get more out of the weighted pattern and rest. We'll transition back to our glute bridge with chest press. So both of these in the glute bridge position, we're kind of just targeting that core and pelvic floor strength. But if it becomes too much, you can always take the hips down to the mat. You can do the pullover with the supine position as well if you don't have a bench. So lots of different options to make it work for you. Come into your glute bridge. And let's begin. So the back of the neck stays nice and neutral here, but I want you to see if you can mobilize the upper back. So can you give a little puff of the chest as you come to that lower position, and then squeeze. So reverse that puffing of the chest as you come forward. So it's expansion, opening, and then contraction, shortening the chest. We open out to the sides nice and slow, and then press it back up. We've got that nice inward pull of the thighs and inner knees, drawing to the midline to stabilize our bridge position. We've got to press through the heels, breathing in and exhaling. Last one here, and slowly come out. So again, if you wish, you can be in the pullover from the supine position without the bench. But if you're coming up onto the bench, we're resting shoulders and back of the head. You can always let the back of the head drop slightly, but I want you to avoid having any strain in the neck. So you want to be able to maintain that neutral curve in the cervical spine in the neck without strain. So for me, I like to rest the head. Let's begin. Take that weight overhead, feel the stretch in the upper back around the shoulder blades, and pull it forward. Inhale, we reach back, feel that length in the sides of the waist, and pull. So even as you lengthen, I want you to feel like your hip points and low ribs are drawn toward each other. So that's what facilitates the stability that then gives you an opportunity to recruit the back muscles. So you have that stable, strong anchor point, and then you're pulling toward it. This is a classic pull key action where we're moving a load away from the body and then drawing it close to the center. This is bonus core work here if you're doing it correctly, and come down. So as you close that gap between hip points and low ribs to pull the weight forward, you're getting all that deep integration, deep activation of the core. We're coming into our final round of this superset next. So find your glute bridge. Come into position. We'll take the weights directly overhead. We still have a few more seconds here to rest, and then we will begin. So lift the hips and take it down, down, stretch across the chest, and then nice and slow, push it back up. So again, feel that little bit of an arch in the upper back, and then you're breathing out to flatten the upper back towards the ground. So it's like you're expanding, opening, receiving, and then exhaling through that push. So we had the classic pull action in the dumbbell pullover, and this is your classic push exercise here. So feel what it's like to take that load from close to the body and then push it away. Breathe in and slowly breathe out. Last one. And rest. Slowly come down. Transition to your dumbbell pullover. We've got one more 45-second working interval and then a full 30 seconds of rest to transition to our next superset. So in about 15 seconds, we'll get into position, really focus, even if your body weight only, on that stretch in the upper back without flaring the low ribs. So there's a tendency for the low ribs to want to go along for the ride, but can you keep them integrated there? Let's begin. So we stretch it back. Feel the abs working to counter that stretch and then pull it forward. So reach, see if you can dip the dumbbell lower than the bench and then come up. So this is also just working your shoulder and scapular mobility here, the range of motion as you take that weight overhead. It's a nice light load, so it's not creating too much strain, but if anything, you're getting just that added bit of help to get your arms overhead. So it's using gravity to your advantage here to help stretch the upper back. Find your breath here. So in this transition time, as hormones drop significantly, the breath rest is one of your greatest assets. So the more that you can activate the parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest mode, the more even-keeled you'll feel as you enter your period. We're coming into tricep dips next. So you can come onto your bench or your chair. You can even do this on the ground just with bent knees. We're going to bring the hands in close together, broaden the chest, and then we glide the hips right down next to that surface and then press through the heels of the hands. So for this deload, you want to have your feet pretty close to the body. That's going to lighten the load on the triceps here. And then I really want you to focus on moving slowly. So nice and easy all the way down and then driving through the heels of the hands. The key to these deload workouts, they give you so much in terms of awareness because you have more bandwidth, more attention to give to the way that your muscles are engaging, the way that they're being activated. Press it down and slowly come up. Last one here, tricep dip and release. So we're coming up into our bicep curl with a front raise, reverse grip front raise next. So I'm going to lighten the load a little bit. Here we're just splitting the bicep curl in half. So we'll come halfway up, reach the weights forward, and then all the way up, reach them forward again. So our baseline position is the static 90-degree hold. We'll start in 3, 2, and 1. So we take the weights all the way down, halfway up, press them forward, come back to that half curl, all the way up, and back to that starting point. Reach forward, back to center, extend, and back to center. So it's this nice, smooth, steady rhythm. Don't sweat it if you get off track, or maybe you do one range of motion twice, that's okay. And if you don't have light enough weights at home to make this a deload, you can also work single-sided effort. So maybe you're reaching one arm forward and then the other in between. So splitting the reps in half in that way. 2, 1, and rest. We've got that nice 30-second rest here. You might just roll out the shoulders, stretch your grip a little bit to get ready for tricep dips next. So we're coming into the second of 3 rounds. Tricep and bicep work here, targeting smaller muscle groups. So it doesn't require a lot of load at all to get a lot from these exercises. Coming into tricep dips next. So the chest is nice and upright. We're sliding the back right down that elevated surface. Make sure that you're hugging the elbows toward the midline behind you without collapsing the shoulders forward. So what you want to avoid is dipping the shoulders forward, rounding the upper back. Instead, you stay nice and open, and we're simply lowering straight up, straight down. So exhaling as you press up and inhaling to slowly lower. So this is another push key action here where we're trying to really drive that bench or that surface down. So rather than thinking about pushing your body up, think about pushing that surface down. Last 3, 2, and 1. Come up, shake it out. So lighter weights again, coming into that bicep curl with the front raise. And for me, this one, I'm kind of between my two weights where my ideal deload resistance would be somewhere between these two weight selections. So I'm going to go to single-sided for this exercise. So I encourage you to make any adjustments that you need to stay in that deload zone, which means you're very low intensity, not breathing heavily. Let's begin. Curl it up. Come halfway down, reach nice and easy away from the body. Then all the way down, back to center, reach. So feel the biceps and chest engage. I'm going to show this from the side so you can see the back doesn't move at all as that arm comes out and away. So your spine is supporting, it's your anchor point for this movement that allows you to reach that arm out and back in. We're avoiding any swinging of the weights so that you stay in control all the way out and all the way in. You're slowing it down so that you can feel the different ways, the different muscles that come online and rest as you reach out. So starts with the chest, then goes to biceps, and then back to the chest. And those are things that you can pick up on a little more easily when the load is lightened in this mode of training. Coming back to our tricep dips, our third and final round. Shake it out a little bit, get your hands into position. Feel that hug of the elbows behind you. Try not to flare the low ribs. Keep the shoulders over the hips. Let's begin now. Take it down, slow, and press up, nice and slow. So stretch the chest. It's sort of like our chest press where we feel that expansion and then we contract into that space. Lower down, slow, and press it all the way up. Breathe in and exhale. Nice work. So keep this slow, fluid movement. You can always take a little bit of a posture break if your wrists are getting tired. Just again, listening to your body even more closely through this very important phase of the cycle. We're coming to the end of this interval in 3, 2, and 1. So this transition period from high to low hormones, it's one of the most important parts of any cyclical alignment practice. It's where it's very easy to push too hard and sometimes very challenging to dial it back. So I encourage you to be in that practice today, especially if you are, in the last day of your period or of your cycle, maybe the first days of your period, really listening to what your body needs. Let's begin. Take it up and press, come back and all the way up. Halfway down, reach, and then all the way down. Halfway up, out, and then we come all the way up. And back down. You got this. So this is our last interval of this superset. And then we're coming into our third set of exercises. So we've got about 12 more seconds here. Reach, come back to center, just splitting that curl in half, the different phases of motion there. Last one, and rest. So this next set of exercises starts with a front to lateral raise. So we're just working this nice half circle out and back and around. You're going to want very light weights for this one. So I'm going to start with kind of the medium set with the option to drop down to the very light set. We are going in about 5 seconds here, so grab your weight. You can also go down to single-sided work if you need to. We take it up, around, and slowly lower it down. So the shoulders stay away from the ears. The spine stays nice and upright. You'll feel that core stabilization working the entire time to take that weight out away from the body. What I love about mapping the deload week onto this part of the cycle is it creates movement that I actually do look forward to. I'm not having to hit the override button or to push through any feelings of inertia or heaviness, but instead I have a workout rest that meets me exactly where I am every step of the way. So this lighter effort, it's something that you know you're still going to want to show up for during this time in your cycle. And you'll actually get more benefit from dialing it down than you would if you push through. So coming into our upright row to alternating press next. So this one, we are moving in 3, 2, 1. We come into that upright row and then press that weight away. One side at a time, I recommend, unless you're moving body weight only, or maybe you have very light wrist weights, then you can do both arms together. But again, you want to make sure that you're keeping your spine nice and steady and strong, that you're not leaning forward or back as you take that weight out at a distance. The shoulders stay relaxed away from the ears. I know I used to have a tendency to really shrug the shoulders in upright rows to try and get the elbows very high, but that's kind of detrimental in terms of loading the shoulder. It puts us at not the best loading angle for the shoulders. So we stay nice and broad to load them safely and rest. You can set those weights down. Coming into our front to lateral raise next. Just give it a little bit of shake, a little bit of movement forward and back. Another great benefit of deload during this time is you're not contributing to inflammation during a time when you're already in a pro-inflammatory state. So as the body prepares for menstruation, let's begin. We see inflammation on the rise. And so your body has less healing reserve for that microscopic damage that happens during more intense, more heavy workouts. So rather than contributing to that inflammation or inhibiting our body's natural recovery process by kind of overtaxing the system, we're dialing it back so that we're not creating as much of a stimulus for that adaptation. We're not creating as much damage in our workouts. In fact, we're likely staying below that intensity threshold that keeps us from contributing to inflammation and rest. Set those weights down. Upright row is next to an alternating press. So it's not really known why we get so inflamed or why the inflammatory response comes online so intensely during menstruation, but it's really, menstruation is sort of this taxing process for the body. And so inflammation helps us heal and work through that process. Let's begin with upright rows next. And here we go. Reach it out and back. Nonetheless, you want to make sure that you're not adding to the stress at a time when you're less resilient. Breathe out and come back to center. I like to really think of this time as supporting your body's natural system of resetting. It's that shedding and letting go. And that's kind of what the deload is too. We let go of what an intense workout needs to look like, or what a good workout needs to look like. Maybe you're like me and you spent so long feeling like you had to burn 500 calories for it to count and rest, or that you had to be completely breathless and spent by the end of your workout, but instead there's a different mode. There's a different place that we can operate at that gives us more reserve for the things that matter. For this next round, this final round, I'm going to come to my lighter set of weights. This is a 3-pound set, and it is plenty for a deload week for front and lateral raises. Let's begin now. So we reach it out, take it out to the side and back down. You can give that squeeze of the hands on the dumbbell, especially if you're working a lighter load. That helps you get more from every rep. And I have a really great relationship with this lighter set of weights because they've helped me rehab injuries. They've helped me connect to muscle activation in a way that isn't available with heavier loads. So if you have body weight or light weights, I encourage you to really pay attention to all the little nuances that are available throughout the movement. So here, can you squeeze the chest and the shoulders to find more activation, more deep connection there, and rest. You can set those weights off to the side. We have our final round of the upright row to press. You can come into position. Again, knit the low ribs and hip points together. We're lifting into that upright row and then pressing straight forward. In about 10 seconds, we'll finish this superset nice and strong. Take a big breath in and a slow breath out. So you should have that nice, easy breath throughout this workout. Upright row, press it forward, take it back and down. You got it. Lift it up, press it forward, back and down. So taking the weights slightly out, away from the body and back in. You want to have that nice broadening across the shoulders here. And then mapping the movement onto the rhythm of your breath. So we inhale to come down, exhale to lift up and out. So find those deeper diaphragmatic breaths that shift you into a different central nervous system mode and rest. We're coming into our final superset. So we have just 3 rounds of our hand release push-up and an elevated plank. So again, very targeted work for the upper body. I encourage you to modify however feels most appropriate. So that might look like taking the knees down in your push-ups. It might look like taking the feet down in your elevated planks. We're going in 5 seconds here. Fingertips are just behind the shoulders, elbows are hugging in, chest is lifted, and let's begin. Push the floor away and then slowly come down, lift the hands. So being that this is a deload, I'm going to keep my knees down and come into that modified push-up, lift the hands, push the floor away. So think of this as practice for the full expression of the movement. So practice that push action, lifting the hands and pushing the floor away with that strong exhale. Lift the hands and push it away. Targets and isolates the upper body in a whole new way, because we're not allowed to compensate in the lower back or the legs. We're not allowed to cheat the movement because we're lifting the hands. Rest before we come all the way up. So we've got this rest period before we're coming into elevated plank. So your feet are up on that surface or down on the floor for just a straight up plank hold. We'll rotate the shoulders. I like taking this one on the forearms in the elevated position, but you can choose to be on the hands if that feels more comfortable for you. If you're on the forearms, your elbows are directly under the shoulders. Take your feet up and let's begin. So I want you to draw the ball mounds of the feet and either elbows or heels of the hands toward each other until you feel that little bit of tremble in the belly. You're lifting hip bones and low ribs toward each other. And then notice if you round in the back, can you stretch the heart forward while maintaining that integration in the low belly? Again, if you're feeling any abdominal pressure or pain during this phase in the cycle, you can always take the feet down or even the knees down and come into a half plank variation instead. Breathe through it here. We're here for just a few more seconds. And slowly, mindfully begin to step out. Come up, shake out your shoulders. Be careful as you transition kind of from that prone to a more upright position. We do have kind of these shifts in our blood plasma volume happening, and so you might be more prone to feeling dizzy with quick changes in body position. So we'll come down onto the belly once again. I'm going to be keeping my knees down here. We'll lift the shoulders, rotate them back, hug elbows into your sides, and let's begin. Push the floor away. So practice that movement, lift the hands and push down to lift up. I like to get kind of a high lift and then a strong push. So you hear that sound, you feel that effort from the hands into the floor. We lift up and push down. You got this. We are coming in on the home stretch of this workout. Just a few more minutes left. Make them count. Breathing in and exhaling. You got it. Last 5 seconds here. And rest. Shake it out, come up for a moment, maybe circle the shoulders, stretch the triceps. I know for me, that's where I'm feeling it a lot in this workout, kind of that slow accumulation of effort in these smaller muscle groups, the backs of the arms. So we're getting ready for our elevated plank next. Come into position. We've got just over 5 seconds left, so create your nice alignment first, and then step your feet onto that surface if you're taking it, and let's begin. So it's just 45 seconds here. I like to press my hands into each other. I find it helps me engage the shoulders in a deeper way and creates a little bit less strain than trying to parallel the arms. You can take any position in the hands that feels good. Just make sure that you have that nice strong loading angle in the shoulders. So that's either shoulders over elbows, or if you're in full plank, shoulders over the wrists. And draw the low belly in and up, but without lifting the hips. So you feel that sort of inner loop of energy. Lots happening on the inside without much on the outside. And slowly come out. Step it out. We have just 3 more minutes left in this workout. Our final round of the hand release push-ups, 1 more round of plank, and you will be ready for your cool down mode. So stay with me, just a couple more rounds here. Take a big breath in and a slow breath out. 10 more seconds. Let's come into position for hand release push-ups. Drawing the shoulders back and down, hugging elbows into your sides, and let's begin. Push the floor away. Inhale, come down, slowly lower, lift the hands, and push with the exhale. So feel that strong plank position in the spine where you have crown to tail lifting and lowering together. So we're not wiggling or curving the spine. We're keeping it like a straight plank all the way up and all the way down. Lift the hands, push the floor away. Just about 15 more seconds here. And then we'll close it with a nice strong plank hold. Last rep, inhale and exhale all the way up. Shake it out. So this integrated work, this strong, slow and steady work, you will feel it. It's not that it's easy or that you're not working at all, that you're taking a break during this time in the cycle, but it's that supportive challenge, that challenge that's not going to burn you out. It's not fighting for resources or fighting your reproductive priorities for resources. Come into plank position now. But instead, it's making the best use of what's available in your body at this time. So we're optimizing our movement, our breath, our mindset for this time in the cycle. It's that grand reset at the end where we get to let go of what's not serving us. We see this steep drop in hormones, which can come with some mood disturbances, but it also brings some clarity. We sort of come out of hormone interference, out of the high hormone state, and back to more of a baseline. Last one here, and slowly come out. So come to hands and knees first, maybe shake out the spine a little bit, kind of releasing any residual tension. And then we'll step up slowly. So one foot and then the other, come into your half forward bend. Nice deep bend in the knees, bring hands to thighs. Stretch the spine straight and strong, and then slowly rise all the way up to stand. That is your strength work on this deload day for the upper body. And now it's time to get into your cool down. You have just completed your upper body strength work, and now it is time to cool down. I'll get our timer started here. We'll come on to the belly to begin our cool down. So lowering all the way to the belly, bringing the forearms onto the mat, making peaceful fists with the elbows underneath the shoulders. And we'll slowly start to pull the elbows back as you slingshot the heart between the upper arms. Keep the shoulders relaxed away from the ears. Keep your legs strong and stretching back. So we're just opening the front line of the body, especially in this upper body work where we recruited a lot of core stabilization. It can feel really good to enter this gentle back bend just to release the front line of the body. We'll be here just a few more seconds. And then we'll keep one forearm turning in. We'll reach for the inner edge of your back foot and start to stretch the chest. So we'll press the foot into the hand to feel that stretch across the front of the chest. So focusing less on the quad stretch and the back bend, but really kind of giving the weight of your shoulder to that back foot to create that nice traction across the front of the chest. We'll be here again just a few more seconds. You might let the head and neck hang heavy, and then we'll switch sides. So bringing opposite forearm in, again, reaching for the inner edge of your back foot, pressing that foot into hand, and then returning the shoulders back to square, giving the weight of your shoulder to that back foot. Again, you might release the head and neck just to kind of feel this stretch across the front of the chest. We'll be here for just about 10 more seconds. Breathing in and out, nice and slow and smooth. And then we're moving into scorpion pose next. So you'll bring your arms out to a T or a cactus shape. Chin is grounded on the mat. We'll lift your left knee, bend it, take it out and over to the side. So as best as you can, keep your shoulders square to the mat. We're letting the lower body twist. So this one, just looking to free the spine. So kind of allowing the rib cage and the lower spine to move independently. And we'll switch sides, keeping that left arm outstretched, right arm outstretched, and we take the right leg behind. This gives you good information about maybe which side might be a little tighter. For me, taking the right toes back is a lot more challenging. It feels a lot tighter than the left side. So just working through this range of motion, letting gravity do the work, and come back to center, press up. We're moving to puppy pose next. So we're allowing the hands to walk forward, resting the crown of the head on the mat, or even starting to offer the chin forward, chest, heart, belly towards the floor, stretching the shoulders, the armpits, the chest. Maybe wag the tail ever so slightly. After this posture, we're transitioning up to a comfortable seat. So you can slowly start to work your way there. Coming up nice and easy. Find your comfortable seat. We'll work through a neck stretch here. So taking the left ear to left shoulder, press the heel of your right hand away. Maybe move the chin forward and back. So important in the upper body work to free the neck, to release any tension there, switch sides. Especially in any of the chest and shoulder work. If you carry tension after the workout, that can lead to headaches or just kind of residual pain there. So just freeing some space. Taking eagle arms next, wrap one arm under, one arm over. We'll press the palms into each other, wrap the wrists and elbows. And as you hug the forearms to the midline, can you try to separate the inner armpits apart so you feel that nice deep stretch across the upper back. Definitely feeling that work from today already. So this is a great way to create that separation between the shoulder blades and lengthen the upper back. We'll switch sides now. So switch the cross of your arms. You can even move those elbows up and down. But again, hug the elbows, forearms, palms to the midline, and then try to separate the shoulders apart. So the inner armpits, the inner chest, we're trying to pull those 2 points in space apart. Last few breaths here. We've got about 10 more seconds in this eagle arm position on the second side. Then we're shifting into upward table next. So we'll start to turn. You'll place your feet directly under the knees. Palms can face in, fingers out, and then we press up into upward table. So ankles are directly under the knees. We're pressing the heels of the hands into the mat. I like to keep the neck neutral rather than dropping it back, just again to kind of support the neck here. We're keeping the hip bones and low ribs close together so that we can focus that stretch in the chest. This is one of my favorite patterns for stretching the upper body. Maybe sway side to side, and then we'll slowly come down. We'll give yourself a little bit of a hug. So wrap the arms under, wrap them around the backs of your thighs, curl the chin to chest, bring your forehead toward your knees, just kind of round into the upper back here. And we will be here just a few more seconds, kind of elongating bone by bone, articulating each bone of the spine. And then we'll slowly release, come out, begin to transition in your own way, perhaps through forward bend first. Bring hands to thighs and slowly rise all the way up to stand. Let's enjoy a huge breath together. Reach up, inhale, and exhale, sigh it out. That is your very quick upper body cool down for today. I want to thank you so much for joining me for this practice, for showing up for yourself in cyclical self-care. So thank you for being here and for letting your body be moved.